Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for 10/9/2025. Before we got started with the public portion of our meeting, we have one administrative item. I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes for Thursday, September 4th, 2025.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second. Jane will second.
Okay, and yay to approve the minutes?
Harold?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay for me, and we need Joe?
Joe.
I gotta unmute him, sorry. 1 second.
He says, reminder that I can't unmute it, Dust, not him. He's in the
He's in the
chat.
middle.
He's the, we're
Yeah, and
looking
then
at
he's on the
his,
chat.
at the stand of his computer.
Can't unmute. Yeah, no, I gotta go in the other way and do this. Hold on 1 second.
So before we vote, I want to call attention to the two motions on 166 Pine Creek Avenue. If you look on number 15, the minutes read that Brian moved and Jane seconded to approve the proposal. The motion was passed unanimously and it was denied. Now, those are facts that cannot hold with each other. Now, I know that it was denied and I know that the motion was to approve, but everybody voted no on the motion to approve. And that's not what the minutes reflect.
Well, I think Matt discussed that with you in an email, and told you that historically that's been the way that has been written. Is that correct, Matt?
Correct.
Well, it makes no sense. And if anybody wanted to challenge it, they could challenge it. The motion was to approve. The motion to approve was denied unanimously. It wasn't approved. The motion to approve was not approved.
The motion to reverse or modify the decision was denied.
Right. And what the minutes say is that it was passed unanimously.
Unanimous no.
It was a unanimous no.
But not to pass. It was to not pass.
Denied, that's why it says denied.
Right, but motion passed unanimously is not correct because the motion was denied unanimously, not passed unanimously, denied unanimously.
All right, I'll just double check it tomorrow morning.
Well, okay, so procedurally, we can't then approve the minutes, or we could approve the minutes with
A correction.
A motion, there's a condition that we're going to.
Correct it for the next meeting.
Okay,
That's fine.
I
okay,
second that motion.
okay. So the motion is we're going to modify the minutes and we'll approve them at the next meeting. Okay,
All in favor?
everyone in favor of that?
Acclamation, aye.
Aye.
I
don't know how to change that.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Sorry, technical issues. Waze is still trying to tell me how to get here. You just press it.
It's a push button.
Okay. All right. Okay, we are now going to call to order the public portion of the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for 10/9/2025.
It's October 9th.
October 9th, 2025. Did I say it right?
Well, because sometimes people put the.
Okay,
date first.
October 9th, 2025.
Only in Europe.
Okay, I'm going to explain how we're going to run the meeting. First, when a matter is called, the applicant or his or her agent will present the case. At this time, originals of any petition should be given to the clerk, Tara. Copies of the petition should then be distributed to the board members. After the applicant's presentation, all interested persons in favor of the application will come forward and speak. After those in favor have spoken, those in opposition will then be heard. The applicant or his or her agent may then address the comments made by those in opposition. Second, this meeting is being recorded as required by state law. It's important that we're able to understand the recording. Therefore, only one person speak at a time, and anyone who wishes to speak must come forward, speak clearly, as our recording device is located in the ceiling of this room. You must also give your name and address. We welcome comments of all interested persons, but we must exercise discretion in making sure that your comments are on point, and if you're too far off the point, we reserve the right to restrict your comments at any time. Third, applicants and interested persons may remain in attendance after the public hearing for the executive session to find out what was decided, or you may call the zoning office tomorrow morning to find out. Fourth, if an application for a waiver is granted, the waiver is not valid if the notice is not recorded. The applicant must bring a check in the amount of $70 made out to the town of Fairfield to the zoning office on Wednesday or later following the meeting for proper recording of the notice of filing. Any waiver involving construction, new dwellings, additions, alterations requires an as-built prior to an issuance, a certificate of zoning compliance, and a certificate of occupancy. Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to our agenda. Is your attorney here? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we are going to go to number 1, which is 24 Horace Court, map 139, parcel 318, petition of Brittany and Anthony Russo for a variance of the zoning regulation, section 3.4.1, to reduce the street line setbacks in sum of 2 sideline setbacks from 30 and 25, currently 10.5 and 22.3, proposing 12.9 and 22.3, and section 3.5.1 to increase the lot coverage 20%, currently 22.3, proposing 23.7, permission to construct a 1-story and a 2nd floor addition premises A zone.
Thank you. Hello. We wish
Name and address.
Oh, sorry. Brittany Russo, 24 Horace Court. We wish to construct a 1-story addition to the front left of our home, along with a 2nd story over the rear portion of the existing house and exterior deck. The front extension will create a larger living room. The rear addition will create a primary suite. We do have a pre-existing non-conforming lot with the existing minimum square of 50 feet with the required minimum square to be 75 feet. The lot is also under the required total area of 9,375 for Zone A. Our lot size is 6,139. We're asking for a variance for the front yard setback along with the sum of the side yards. The new addition is set back 1 foot from the existing structure, so we're not encroaching further towards the street. The sum of the side yards is an existing condition. We're also asking to increase our lot coverage by 1.4% from 22.3 to 23.7%. If our lot size was the minimum for Zone A to begin with, our lot coverage would be around 15%, which would be well below the 20% permitted. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, does the board have any questions of the applicant? Jane?
Hi.
Hi.
So there's a note on your drawing, it says existing asphalt driveway to be removed. Is that a condition of your application?
No. What is it saying will be removed?
Existing asphalt driveway to be removed.
No. That shouldn't be there. No,
So it's not a condition.
no, it's not.
So it's just an error on the drawing?
It must be, yeah, I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
On the drawing or on the survey?
On the drawing.
Oh, okay. Doesn't say that on the survey.
No, I'm sorry, on the survey. I'm looking at the survey.
I don't see it either.
Oh, never mind, I'm looking at the, I take it back.
Looking at the
I'm
wrong.
looking at the wrong one.
No.
Okay, so, you know what, none of that
I
happened.
thought we were gonna start with number 2.
We
Never
were.
mind.
Rewind.
You wanted to know what.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. I'll save that for the next.
All right, does anyone else have any questions for Horace Court? Joe?
If you're number 2, take notes. No.
Joe, can you respond yes or no, just because I don't know if you're hearing me, or I don't want to move on unless you're comfortable.
I don't know if I have to unmute him every time. Let me just double
You can
check.
just leave them unmuted.
I didn't put that.
You can't just hit space bar and unmute
No,
himself.
there's
That's him.
new,
I don't know why that's him, but that's him. Yeah, so far so good.
I'll do them all.
He should be able to unmute himself now.
Yeah, we haven't had this problem before, but anyway, I have no questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that being said, no more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the room or online who's here to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone in the room or online who's here to speak against this application? Hearing none, seeing none, we're going to close this application. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to number 2 on our agenda, which is 165 Reef Road, map 182, parcel 620, petition of Omar Maribi for a variance to the zoning regulations, section 3.4.3, to reduce the street line setback for an accessory structure from 30 feet, proposing 20, and section 3.5.1 to increase the lot coverage from 20%, currently 16, proposing 23.99, permission to construct a detached garage, premises A zone.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Denise Bloodgood, Bloodgood Architectural Design, 1 Bayberry Ridge Road out of Westport, Connecticut. My client is proposing to build a 24 by 24 foot, 2-story, 1.5 story, 2-car garage on the existing property. We're seeking a variance for the side setback of 10 feet and as well as the overage on the lot coverage. Our hardship for the property is that we are non-existing forming lot. Requirements are 75 feet and we're approximately 56 feet. We think the addition would be an attribute to the neighborhood because there's limited restricted parking on the street. And the client, I don't know if this is a hardship, but they have 3 adult children with cars. They have cars, and his hobby is restoring vintage cars. So it would be great if we could get some of the cars off the street, and onto the property.
All right. Is there any questions from the board?
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Harold.
Does the house already have a garage?
It does. It has a single-car garage, which is not attached to the, well, there's no access from the single-car garage into the house.
Okay.
They are thinking at some later time that they might convert that garage into a family room.
And the proposed addition is only going to be a non-heated, non-plumbed garage?
Correct.
Thank you.
So,
Again, the drawing says the existing asphalt driveway to be removed.
Yes.
That is a condition
Yes.
of the application.
Well, it's not a condition, but we would like to remove it and tuck it behind the garage so we could have a little bit of green space next to the house.
So it says it's going to be removed, but that's not,
It is going to be removed,
it is.
yes.
okay,
I
you have
just
a
had-
question, Brian?
I do. I just want to clarify from statement versus the application. Your statement, you said that you're applying for a reduction in the side setback, but the written application says the street line setback.
Well, it's a corner lot, but it is a side setback.
It's a street line setback.
Okay, street line. My apologies.
That's okay. I just want to be clear that you're moving 10 feet closer to the street along with the increase in coverage.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I was clear. Thank you.
Okay, is there any, does Joe have any comments to this one or questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here or online who'd like to speak for this application? Is there anyone here or online who'd like to speak against this application? Okay, we're going to close this application. Thank you. Actually, we're going, And, as a reminder, if, we don't have a big agenda today, but, if you don't want to wait, you're welcome to go. Okay, so, just like, okay, we're going to move on to number 3.
Hi.
Okay, I'm going to read it first, okay? 36 Ferncliff Road, map 46, parcel 239, petition of Mark R. Giles and Sophia, I'm sorry. Thank you, Honey. For a variance of the zoning regulations, section 13.3 H-2, to reduce the rear setback for an accessory dwelling unit from 30%, proposing 15.5, permission to construct an accessory dwelling unit. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is William Burke. I'm an attorney in town. I'm here with my clients Mark Gillis and Sophia Anemi. They own the property 36 Ferncliff. We described it as a corner lot. It's really more of a peninsular lot. It's surrounded by street on 3 sides. So as a result, we don't have a side setback. We have a rear setback, and that's our problem. If this were a regular shaped lot with a side property here, we would consider this the side and we would be fine. We wouldn't be here asking for a variance. But because of the fact that we're surrounded on the other 3 sides by street, this is considered our rear line, and that's why we're here. What we want to do is put basically an expansion of the house on that side of the property. They have a growing family. They have 2 teenage daughters, and they just want to be able to have sort of space for them to do their things and play their stereo and make, do whatever they're doing. And they want to be able to have, sort of a quieter space of the house also. According to the courts, the shape of the lot has been found to be a basis for a variance. That was found in House versus ZBA of Stanford. Then Judge Chase Rogers, now later Chief Justice Chase Rogers, decided that case. There's also, if you've been out to the property, you've seen that there's a lot of difference in the topography, stark difference. It's on Ferncliff Road, which is pretty appropriately named. That's also a factor here, because you can't just add out on the front side. It just won't work for this to add on at that level, at the higher level. Are there any, and that was also found as a basis for a variance in Ignatius versus ZBA of Guilford, decided in New Haven Superior Court. We're not asking for any coverage variance. We're just asking for that rear property line variance because this is a rear property line for us. Our neighbors, it would be their side property line, and that's it. Do you have any questions?
I do, yeah. If this is a separate building, it's not attached to the house.
It's not attached. It's an
So-
accessory dwelling.
Accessory dwelling, but it's a garage, it's primarily, no, there's no garage space in it.
There's no garage space in it.
Okay.
Two bedroom.
It's 2 bedrooms. They have 2 daughters.
So just in one sentence, what the hardship is,
The hardship is the shape of the property means that we don't have the side setback that we would normally have. We have a rear setback, which is greater than the side. It's twice the size of the side setback.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Joe?
No.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here or online who would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here or, okay, or is anyone here or online who would like to speak against this application? Yes.
Mr. Decker, if this was a garage, would it have different setbacks?
10 feet.
But because it's not a garage,
Well, the ADU's got to meet the compliant, it's got to meet the primary setbacks.
Right.
Which is why they're here in front.
that's why, okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, and I think I finished that, but is there anyone here who is here that would like to speak against this application here or online? None and none, we're going to close this application.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to number 4. 150 Wakeman Road, map 141, parcel 125, petition of Mary and Maximilian Ostrowski for a variance to zoning regulation section 3.5.1 to increase the total lot coverage from 20%, currently 23.9, proposing 24.3. Permission to construct a rear addition and deck, permission, premises A zone. Can the applicant come forward?
I submitted my petition earlier, hopefully. Good afternoon, members of the board. You have it online, perfect. My name is Mary Ostrowski, and I reside on 150 Wakeman Road with my husband and 3 young daughters. I'm here today to request a variance to increase our lot coverage. Our property is currently at 23.9%, and we are proposing an increase of 0.4% to 24.3%. This will allow us to turn a small deck off our kitchen into a mudroom and increase the square footage of our second floor to allow for a primary bath. The hardship for this request is based entirely on the unique and pre-existing non-conforming nature of our property. The legal lot size in our Zone A is currently 9,375 square feet. Our lot is only 8,850 square feet. In addition, the legal minimum square is 75. Our lot is only 69.8. The improvements are located at the rear of the property, will not be visible from the street, and are keeping in the scale and character of our home and the surrounding neighborhood. We have a good relationship with our surrounding neighbors, and they all willingly signed the previously submitted petition. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Any questions from the board? I'm a no. Do you have any questions? Harold?
No.
Joe?
No.
Okay. No questions.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here or in this room who would like to speak for this application? Is there anyone online or in the room who would like to speak against the application? No, and no, we're going to close this application. Okay, we're moving on to number 5. Okay, number 5 is 259 Stilson Road, map 76, parcel 185, petition of Brian Amoroso for a variance to the zoning regulation section 2.8A to expand a non-conforming home occupation. Permission to construct an addition for an x-ray machine for an existing dental practice. Premises R3 zone. Would the applicant come forward, please?
So I'm Brian Amoroso. I'm an endodontist and the 4th dentist living and practicing at a home office located at 259 Stilson Road. The dental office has served our town and neighboring communities for 73 years. I acquired the office from the previous dentist in 2007. While the current office footprint has adequately allowed the ability to provide care since it was built in 1952 as a dentist's home office, it no longer allows the ability to effectively shield modern imaging equipment to provide accessible and ideal care. So I'm seeking a variance for a modest 5-foot by 12-foot addition, which is necessary to safely implement imaging equipment known as a cone beam computed tomography unit, or CBCT. The addition will allow me to meet the shielding requirements set forth by the National Council of Radiation Protection and Measurements and the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection. I've provided you with all the documentation needed for this application, along with letters of support from a medical physicist and the equipment manufacturer, as well as signatures of my 4 abutting neighbors. Board members, without this relief, I cannot meet the current acceptable level of providing care in endodontics. Please exercise your good judgment in considering this application. Question? Clarification? It seemed to be a little bit of a different application than the others.
Yeah, it's unique. Does anyone have any questions? Jane, please.
Okay, so, you know that a hardship, a legal hardship cannot be because of your personal requirements. It has to be something tied to the property.
Correct.
So if you can imagine, this property, forget the fact that it's a dentist office, it's just, think about it, it's just a house. And it meets all the requirements for, you're not asking for any variances for setbacks or coverage or any of that. It's just for that piece. But you need a hardship, right? So,
So my hardship is the inability, were you complete in your question?
yes, I'm just gonna ask you if you would maybe consider your hardship is the weird shape of your lot.
The weird shape of my lot?
It's not a typical rectangular lot.
Yes, that would be the fact.
That would be a hardship that's tied to the property. It
Okay.
has nothing to do with your dental practice, because we can't consider your dental practice as a hardship in any manner. But an oddly shaped lot could be a hardship.
Okay, then I would consider this oddly shaped.
Does anyone else have any questions? Harold?
No.
Joe?
And there's no other way of configuring the addition so that it doesn't move towards the lot line?
So it's, I'm within
It's not a lot
setback.
line, it's an
It's not a
addition of
setback
a
issue.
non-conforming use.
Oh, okay. I'd just like to disclose that Dr. Amoroso has been in my mouth for 2 teeth. I do not consider that to be a conflict of interest.
Okay, so I don't think Joe has any more questions. Any more questions from the board? No? Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the building or in the room or online who'd like to speak for this application? Is there anyone online or in the room who would like to speak against this application? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, we're going to close this application. Okay, we are going to move on to our final application of the afternoon.
Trying to do anything to late in your meeting.
No, it's okay.
Joe's sitting for this.
Oh, yeah, so.
Lisa's sitting for this.
Yeah, so Jane, one of our board members, has left because she has stated a conflict, and Lise, who's online, our alternate, will be sitting in for just for this application. Okay, I'm going to read your application. Are you ready?
Yes, I am, Chairman.
161 Sherman Street and 616 and 26 Sherman Court, map 180, parcel 45 through 48. Petition of 161 Sherman Street LLC, Dante R. Galucci and Peter J. McGinnis, Boggs LLC, and Robert J. Desari and Maria C. Desari, co-trustees of the Desari, I'm saying that wrong. How do you say it, Matt?
How did you say it?
Okay, the Desiree Living Trust for a variance of the zoning regulations, section 6.3Z, to allow the first floor to occupy residential use and 100% of the structure to be residential. And section 6.5.1 and 6.5.3A, to reduce the street line setback from 10 feet, proposing 4.8 feet. Permission to construct 2 residential dwellings with a total of 7 residential units. Premises CDD zone.
Chairman, members of the commission, happy to be before you tonight. It's very interesting, and I think really a great application that one will go to reduce nonconformities that are on site, 2, bring together a really nice residential aspect to Sherman Street, which is very desirable and consistent with the master plan, the desire to develop new single-family housing within town, which is very difficult to find, as you all know. And basically, as I said, remove a bunch of nonconformities. There's currently 4 properties, and they are at 161 Sherman Street, 2 Sherman Court, 16 Sherman Court, and 26 Sherman Court. So as you know, this is Sherman Street. As I can show you, probably easier here to give you what the lay of the land now. Sherman Street here, building here, 1, 2, 3 buildings along Sherman Court. What our client would like to do is tear these 4 buildings down and build 7 units, 3 along Sherman, 4 along Sherman Court. Mr. Cerrone, who's here, first of all, I apologize, I didn't identify myself for the record. Raymond Rizzio, Office of Russo and Rizzio, 10 Sasko Hill Road. One of the big problems along Sherman Street is we have issues with parking. And if you look at, I did a parking analysis of what currently exists. And if you took the 4 buildings now and put them, and it needed what the required parking would be, they would need about 34 parking spaces. And they only have 19. That's amongst the 4 buildings. And keep in mind, the buildings are kind of a interesting way that they put together. The buildings seem to have worked, even though everybody has their own distinct parking lot. There's entrances, multiple entrances and exits and ways to get in and out, but it can be somewhat confusing. One of the things that was an extremely successful project, I was actually a partner in it, Mr. DeGennaro was the partner in this project, was built across the street on Sherman Street, where you have Sherman Court condominiums, which has 5 condominiums. They have been very successful. People love living in town, and that was one of the first variances that the ZBA gave to reduce the amount of residential from 2/3, 1/3 balance. I'll show you that as we go. So in effect, when we're looking at this project, we try to figure out what's the best way to make this work. We wanted to have conforming parking. We wanted to have attractive townhomes that would give rise to the neighborhood. We've talked with all the neighbors in the area and have come up with a very unique design where we'll have 7 units, 3 on Sherman, 4 on Sherman Court, each with their own parking garages, 2-car parking garages, so it take parking demand off the street. Also 4 visitor parking on the street, and we end up with a project that has conforming parking. One of the things that's really important is how did you get here, and what are the variances that you need, and obviously what's your hardship. So if you look at the project, let me first of all give you a look of, as we take you now to the way this project's going to envelope, and then I'll also show you the elevations. What's amazing is that when you look at what you can do in this area, there's a tremendous amount of really dense, intense development that can go on this small street, Sherman Street. For example, the maximum height on these properties would be 52 feet or 5 stories. So basically what you could do, and you can have coverage of 90% and a maximum floor area 250%. So basically you put an office building with 4 floors above parking, which would this area can't handle that. And frankly, if you look at what we're replacing, this was all really a residential area historically. If you look at all 4 of our homes that were then converted later into office to try and bring more office use downtown. So our goal, like I said, is to have a compliant project, and a compliant project that works with the neighborhood,
One that is commission, this typical commission has seen before in DCD zones. If you can recall, there's two projects on Reef Road, two 9-unit projects that were, where there was two commercial buildings there that were then torn down, and then there was two 9-unit projects that were done. This commission gave relief and allowed those to be 100% residential. One of the reasons being is that Reef Road would not be a great place to put large office building with the amount of traffic that goes on back and forth to the beach. So those granted relief. There was also recently one on Pequot, 250 Pequot, where the commission also saw there's a situation where the mixed use really wouldn't work, and they granted it as variance with the 100% residential. The application, which I'll give you before, and I'll explain to you why we want to be 100% and not 87%. So the one across the street, which is Sherman Court Condominiums, this goes back 2005, so 20 years ago. Well, it's hard to believe it's 20 years ago. This application, the commission allowed it to be 87% residential and 13% commercial. I'm probably the most familiar person with the project, having built it, having seen it develop, and more importantly, see how it's been used over the years. The issue is the first floor is an office. We will have a first floor office, but they pretty much either act as home offices, because when they don't act as home offices, the problem becomes you run out of parking, because you need a parking demand for commercial use. So it's very hard to bifurcate the uses and lease them to two separate people. So a lot of people, for example, over here, will keep their own home office on the first floor. And we've designed a first floor office, but it's not a separate commercial office that can be rented to a third party. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense why you wouldn't want that, because if you separate the users, you then have conflicting parking. You tend to end up with the office use using most of its parking on the street versus a home office user who will park in their garage. Additionally, you then have different fire codes, different commercial codes for typically what ends up being, in this instance and in that instance, probably about a 300 square foot space. And what ends up happening, the space usually even gets smaller because you have to put handicap bathrooms, which take up a good portion of a room. I mean, it's almost double the size of a traditional bathroom. And then infringe upon, the parking in the garage. So what we would like to be, as is done on Reef Road, as done on Pequot, is have this building to be 100% office. 100% residential. And if I show you the plans, I think you'll like it. I think it lends to a very attractive project. So this is what the four units are going to look like along Sherman Court. We've talked to all of our neighbors. We have not received any, and I'll always wait till you guys announce if there's anybody in favor or against, but from our understanding is that all the neighbors we've talked to seem to be concerned about property values, concerned about making sure that this doesn't get an overly dense project, and preserving some similar residential use and not have a very heavy commercial use on this property. So this is what the units are going to look like. Basically, you'll see the 3 Sherman 4 here. And here's basically a drawing of the buildings. The buildings will be very nicely done, colonial in nature. They're not just one wall. One thing that was important was not just put a wall of building up, was to have an offset, as you can see on the different elevations. So what you have on the first floor is you typically have a garage. Garage is going to be typically 22 to 24 feet wide, and they're going to be about the same deep. So you don't really have a lot of room to create commercial space if you're going to put an interior office. So what we've designed is an interior office, could be used as a den in the future, but an interior office with a bathroom, second floor, and these will have elevators. Second floor has living, dining, and kitchen, and then the third floor with 3 bedrooms. The other thing is, because you have limited outdoor space, all the units have been designed with a rooftop terrace. So you have an elevator that will actually take you to a rooftop terrace. People can enjoy the views. One of the nice things about this area, Sherman Street, versus just to the north of us, is that you don't have a lot of high buildings. So therefore, it protects the residential components behind. They're not looking at a big building. They're basically looking at a building that would be built toward anywhere from Sherman Street all the way down to the beach. Parking underneath, 2 floors of residential above, and then some type of rooftop terrace. So it goes in it's an excellent transitional use. Our hardship is with regard to being 100% residential would be that, in effect, in these tighter, smaller spaces, to add and introduce a commercial space would end up with conflicting parking, additional parking requirements, and frankly, would not fit very well as far as these tight sites. These are very tight lots. And as you can see, when you look at the parking now, you basically have these buildings along the outside, which we'll continue to have, but then you just have asphalt in the middle of these parking, in the middle and behind the structures, because that's the only place for the people to park. And frankly, most of the parking spaces wouldn't even be conforming to today's standards, meaning they wouldn't be 9 by 18 with the proper turning radiuses. It's kind of, you sneak in between the 2 buildings and you go park. This will have fully conforming parking, 2 parking garages, and adequate visitor parking. And the basis of that is mostly because it's going to be all for residential use versus any commercial use. You don't have to worry about big deliveries. You don't have to, from the intensity of use, you don't have people rolling in and out all day. It's a perfect use for Sherman Street. With regard to the other variants that we need, one of the things is since we filed, we have one made adjustment, and I think it's okay. Your call is for a 4.8 reduction of our front setback. We've actually changed that, and we actually made it less, and I think it's okay as long as we make it less of a variance. We've reduced the variance to only be 6.5 feet. Now, why would it have to be 6.5 feet? And what's very unique, it's only as relates to the building on Sherman Street. So what happens, the building on Sherman Street sits next to an office at 171 Sherman Street. They have a shared driveway. Basically, there's an easement of 5 feet on each end of the property, on each property. In this zone, you can have setbacks of 0 feet or 10 feet. We can't be 0 because the first 5 feet of our rear setback have to be, let's call it a side setback, it's rear of this building. But this setback, we can't go to 0 because we have an easement, which allows the people at 171 Sherman Street to access their property for parking. So what we did was we had to put the building on the outside of the easement, which pushes us to a minimum of 5 feet. Then what happened is that when that pushes the building forward, we end up at 6 feet. Because you remember, when you look at a building, classic building, you're talking about, give me 1 second, I have it here. We're 6.5 feet off the front. We have a 28 feet wide building, which is not a very wide building because you need 22 feet wide for the cars, and then you need a staircase. So when you take the 6.5 plus the 28, then we're 11.5 off the rear. And the reason we do that is we need to have some space, and we're stuck with the easement. So we either have to be in excess of 10 or 0. So we're at 11.5 because our building's like, I think, 32 feet. So we had to add 1 foot. So we're fully conforming off the rear. And except for this small piece here, we had to move it 3.5 feet forward. What's interesting is the current building is at 8 feet and it's non-conforming. What's also interesting is we're actually 18 feet from the pavement. So what may seem like 6 feet from your front setback seems like it's small. When you consider it's 18 feet to the pavement, we have enough room outside of our front property line for sidewalks and landscaping. So the 6.5 really is 18 feet to the paved portion of the street. It's really the only way to fit it. If it weren't for this easement, we could conform and have 10 feet in the back and 10 feet, and it would not be a problem. Or we could have gone to 0 in the rear. okay? And we didn't think 0 on the front was the way to go and 10 feet on the rear. So for all those reasons, I think we have a hardship that's tied to the property, meaning we have this easement that's been there for 50 years. We have a situation where we believe, based on the location of the property, that we do not believe that to put any commercial aspects or first floor commercial on this will just increase the parking, increase the size of the buildings, increase the intensity of flow, and something I think I would probably have a lot of people here arguing against, because the building would go higher and your parking would be underneath, and it would be out of character for the neighborhood. If you look at the character of the neighborhood, there's nothing 5 stories once you get to that side of Sherman Street. So for all those reasons, I think we have a hardship. It's an excellent project. We've talked to all the neighbors, the commercial neighbors across the street. Actually, one of the people actually who is selling this building here actually lives on the block. So he's very concerned about what's it going to look like? We want to keep it residential. We want to protect our neighborhood. We want to protect our values. And through long negotiations and long discussions, we've come up with what we believe is a first-class project that requests minimal variances and is probably the least intense use you can get on the property if there was any kind of redevelopment, witnessed by the fact that we only have 42% coverage when we could be at 90. We have 120% floor area where we could be at 250%, and we could be at 5 stories when we're 3 stories. For all those reasons, I think we're consistent with your master plan. We're bringing in much needed housing to Fairfield. That's all you hear about, but it's not apartment housing that's getting jammed down your throat through 830Gs and whatnot. It's nice traditional housing that has been very successful in this area. I think if you saw the project, though, there's a nice project almost on the corner of Reef and Oldfield. That's that similar project. The 2 projects on Reef have been very successful, and this one on Sherman Street across the street has also been very successful. So this type of living, townhouse living in a town like Fairfield, walkability is most important, and not having conflicting uses on the same site, I think is very desirable. For all those reasons, I would really request you grant this application. I think we've satisfied your hardship standards, and I think the approving this doesn't cause any detrimental effect, health, safety, and welfare of any of the residents of Fairfield, or have any detrimental effect on property values. In fact, I think it will increase property values in the general area. And we're really excited about the project, and I think it's something that is going to be kind of a standard in town to set. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I hope I didn't go on too much, but I try to give you the thought of how we got here, why we're here, and why it makes sense. And I apologize, I'm trying to finish you up before 4 o'clock.
You're doing very well, Council.
We're not in a hurry.
Okay, thank you.
Not in a hurry at all.
No way.
Okay, we can start with, would you like to start? Do you have any questions, Harold? Well, Harold is looking.
Well, I do have a couple of questions, just for clarity. Each unit will have its own private entrance?
Each unit has its private entrance and a 2-car garage. Correct. So you have this unit here, which is on Sherman Street. It's funny, Sherman Street and Sherman Street will have its own 2-car entrance. The other unit on Sherman Street will have its own 2-car entrance. Other property, you'll come into a drive, 2-car garage, and then 2-car garages within the center of the property.
So the entrance to the each unit is through the garage?
Correct. Well, there'll also be doors on the street side. Let me take a look. You're not. So there'll be, one thing we felt was important to have a very attractive streetscape and a street elevation. So you'll see they each have their own front doors. There's the garages, and then the units that are accessed from the back will also have doors that they can come out onto the street. If you looked at the project on, let me show it to you. I think I took pictures of that. Give me 1 second. I do have. The property across the street on Sherman, you really can't see it as well here, but I do have another picture of it. You'll see they have all, the garages are between the buildings, and they have front doors that walk out onto Sherman Street. And I think I do have a picture of that, if I can show you. Give me 1 second.
If I could pose my second question meanwhile. The 18 parking spots,
Here's what
is that in addition to the 14 that are in the 7 units?
No, 18 is total, so there'll be
There'll be-
does this give you a better feel for what we're looking at? I'm sorry, I got an easel that's not cooperating.
That's okay, I just see it online.
You see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Can use a new easel. I apologize.
Let me hold it. Okay.
I got it.
It's on, you can put it on there too. It should be
Yeah,
part of the
fine.
package.
So,
It should be on there, because I have it on my computer.
I see it now, thank you.
So every one of the
Design.
units, excuse me, Phillips Brown, the architect for the project, every one of the units has its own door. So we tried to make it so there's some individuality to the units, which is why the colors and the materials change as you go across it. So this is the one building, it's the 3-unit building, but both buildings are similar.
And then there'll be 4 additional parking spots that are,
So two parking garage spaces and then 4 for visitor parking, which is along the interior, which I'll show you on the site plan again.
yes, thank you.
So if you look at, this is the landscape plan. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 visitor parking. There's also parking on the street, but we wanted to make sure we could accommodate for our project totally on site.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Brian?
I'm good.
Oh, okay, Joe?
Yes, don't know that I missed it. I don't know that I heard it. What's the motivation for the project? What is the condition of the existing structures? Are they occupied? Are they in good repair? What's the motivation to do this?
Well, the motivation is some of the buildings were for sale. People were moving on, and one or two instances, tenants were moving out. And believe it or not, it's a very unique ability to compile properties that all happen to be available at the same time, and then trying to make its highest and best use of the property, because the buildings as they exist are so non-compliant with regard to parking. They have a very limited attraction to only certain type of tenants that don't need very much parking, or that are going to live with that and then just park all over the streets. So the fact that these buildings were available at the same time gave rise for our client to make this type of proposal. And then turning that into a purely residential project, it made the neighbors very comfortable with the type of project that's going to go forward. So everybody that's selling has connections to the town, and the developers both have done business in town and live in town. One of them lives in town, and we're very concerned about bringing this to its highest level, and I think that's what we've done.
And is there any possibility to make the setbacks conforming? What would that do to the rest of the project?
Well, you got to remember too, what's interesting is also unique about this, it has frontage on 3 streets. So we don't want to bring the 0 setback, which we can be 0 or 10 feet, to the street side. And you really can't do it to the street side because you've got another corner. So the only place to put it was the rear of the 3 units. And when you look at the rear of the 3 units, you have this 10-foot easement. 5 of the feet go on here. So yeah, if we could have pushed it back 3.5 feet, what would have happened is the neighbor next door would have lost a parking space. And frankly, by the deed restriction what's on the land records, we cannot block those first 5 feet. So that's what our issue is. If we didn't have, if there weren't this easement that existed, which has been there for 50 years, this building could have gone back and we could have met the 10 feet. From the spirit of it, frankly, the nice thing is when you look at it, we have 18 feet to the pavement. So it's not like this building is going to be sitting on the street. It's basically going to be 1.5 feet closer to the street than the existing building is now. Does that answer your question?
I guess
Yeah, there's really, when you take, when you introduce that easement, and then you try to put your parking, you want to get individual parking spaces on site, by the time you add in the width of cars, 9 by 18-foot spaces, the depth of a building, these are not large units. These units are going to be about 2,400 to 2,500 square feet. So you're not dealing with, little McMansions that are being parked here. These are 3-bedroom units. They're going to be well done. And it's not an overuse of the site. But for this easement, which is a topographical condition that would give rise to a hardship, we would be able to conform.
And the beneficiary of the easement isn't interested in helping you out?
Well, the problem with the beneficiary of the easement, anything we've actually done is we've landscaped so that we have a nice little buffer between them. And we're actually helping him out, helping each other out, because we're actually keeping this at 12 feet in width, not just the 10, 5 on his, 5 on his, because he needs this additional space so that he can get to this parking space. So it's the only way to make it work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Elise, do you have any questions?
I do not.
You do not? Okay.
No.
All right, I do. Can I ask you a question first, Matt?
Very confusing.
So, and obviously I know some of this will be our discussion later, but I just want to ask Matt now. So the application is asking us to basically change the zone from DDC to residential.
Zone doesn't change, just the use is
The
changing.
use is changed in a zone. So they're asking for a residential use, because this requirement says the bottom has to be businesses and the top can be residential. So they're going from X% to 100% residential.
50% to 100.
But then the setbacks they're asking for really apply to the district that they're in, not a residential use. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yes.
just, I wanted to
Yes.
clarify to you. Okay, here's what I'd like to ask you. In a as the attorney, in the hardship aspect of this, what you cite is they're already non-conforming uses. But you don't state any past laws or any, normally people come forward and they say, as this was done in this lawsuit or that lawsuit. Like what actual legal non-conform, what's the legal?
As relates to the setback, it's very easy. We have that easement there, which does not allow us to have the zero setback that we would normally be entitled to under that regulation.
But how about changing the building to entirely 100% residential? Where's that hard?
You have the ability to consider the location and how it exists, how a building relates to the buildings around it, and make a determination that the hardship would be to throw a more intense commercial use onto a first floor versus having it all residential. And that's what this commission has found, probably the last 3 or 4 applications that have been before you, that it works in some places. In other words, it would work if you were on the post road. And what happens is the DCD district goes deeper than just the post road. So on the post road, you'd want a commercial storefronts, and you'd want people to park, and you want to attract people. Sherman Street is different than the post road. Even though it is in a DCD zone, you want the ability, only in limited circumstances, to have that commercial on the first floor, because it's a quiet street. You do not want that to be a general office use. And I think that's one of the hardships. It's what you looked at, it's what, not you, but the commission looked like on Reef Road and said, this really should be residential on the first floor. And especially in situations in downtown or in Sherman Street where you really have issues with regard to parking. And when you mix the two uses, you end up in a very limited property area for conflicting, demanding parking uses. And as you can see on the site right now, that site is 15 spaces underparked within that area with just these 4 buildings. Forget about the other buildings that back up to each other. And it's part of the problem why the buildings, one of the reasons why the buildings always struggle with getting, tenants, because you need to have parking in today's world for a commercial area. So I believe if we were on the Post Road, I'd have a real hard time justifying it, because that's what I think the zone demanded. With regard to Sherman Street and a corner, which backs up to residential, and is really, the funny thing is, it's really residential homes that have been converted into housing. That road was not built for an office park. That road was built for alternative uses, and we believe it. I think actually you're bringing the property back to really with the way it was originally developed. So I think you certainly have the ability to grant this waiver by looking at the exact property that we're asking for, looking at the area, and then you have the right to judge that a waiver would be warranted, provided it doesn't have negative impact on surrounding properties. I'd be shocked if anybody got up and said that this is something that would have a negative effect on any surrounding properties. So I think you have that flexibility in this situation. We're not just here saying we want more than we're entitled to. We could get a lot more, we're entitled to a lot more than we're asking for. And I don't think that puts you in a good place, given the coverage, the height, and everything else.
Okay, hold on. Are you on? Oh, okay, go ahead.
Just for my clarity, I think we have, just based on your question, and my understanding, and someone, Matt, you can correct me, there are two separate issues in what you were asking. One is there is a legal hardship in the existence of an easement, the corner lot, the conditions for a variance exist. The change of use doesn't necessarily need to be specifically tied to that hardship. They're separate and disparate issues.
In fact, they're two independent, and unfortunately, I drove on a little bit too long about both, but that's why I tried to establish the hardship with regard to the setback is driven by that easement and smaller, non-conforming lots that are very tight. The use is as relates to putting a use that is required in an improper place. And that's what we believe exists here.
Do you have any more questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Does anyone else have any more questions? No? Okay, thank you very much. Do you have? Wait.
We haven't gotten there yet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So,
The other thing is there is a goal of the ZBA to reduce nonconformities. And in this instance, by going truly residential, you're reducing the large nonconformity that's been created by the commercial parking on the sites.
all right, so are you good now?
I hope so.
We are.
Well, I don't know. Let me ask you a question. If you're good, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so now we're going to ask if there's anyone here or online who'd like to come up and speak in favor of this project. You have to come to the podium and name and address, and tell us why you're in favor of this project.
Sure, Ed Finnegan. We actually own the property, 34 Sherman Court, and I was just going to ask him about the easement on the other side. They haven't addressed that, Sherman Court. I think the plans are great. We don't have any objection, but we'd like to, about the easement, and then if they would actually close off this.
No, we're not touching the easement. There'll be no access.
Yeah, and we also just want to know if that would be closed off so they wouldn't go into our parking lot.
Yes,
and then
100%.
It would be.
Nope, it's going to be completely self-contained, so.
So there would be some closure that they wouldn't go on to.
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure. That's all we were concerned about.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to come up and speak in favor of the project? No? Is there anyone online who'd like to speak in favor of the project?
There is a gentleman who has 3 questions up here, or 2 questions in the chat.
Okay, do you want to, should we address it now?
Attorney Rizzio.
Okay, so we have someone that has some questions. So we're going to let him speak, but does he just want us to read the chat?
The two questions that he has up there is, will they lose their place of work? I guess it's, are there commercial tenant presently in any of the buildings? I think you addressed it earlier in regard to them leaving, but that's one question. And the other one is, will it increase traffic? And then his third question is, I see a projection elevation 3-story, will it be higher or lower than the existing?
The building will be higher than the existing buildings that are there. The building will be almost 20 feet shorter than what is permitted. The existing tenants either have leases that are expiring, have vacated, or have the ability to move. And there will be, we believe, a decrease in traffic over what is there now, given the fact that you need, just looking at the numbers on these lots where you need 35 parking spaces for, give me 1 second, 35 spaces, you need 34 parking spaces for the uses that currently sit on the site, which means you're anticipating cars, and those cars come in and out all day long. And now we're taking it down, so they're 15 short of what's required, and now you're going down to a project that requires 18 spaces, of which you'll have far less turnover of vehicles throughout the day. One of the great things about this project is I would intend most people are going to want to live there so they can walk everywhere, live and walk, work downtown. Typically, a lot of your staff and everybody else they're not living in these buildings, so they're coming in and out. So you have those trips all day long. And I think it'll also lessen the congestion and the amount of parking that goes on Sherman Street and Sherman Court.
Okay, so you addressed the question of the work, the traffic, and the elevation. Okay. Okay, and then we also have a comment from a gentleman saying he agrees that first floor commercial requirement should be waived. Okay, so we're still at, does anyone, I think we're still in the positive phase here, right? Okay, so now we're done with that. Is there anyone here or online who would like to speak against this project? I don't see anyone in the room. See anyone online, Matt, before I go too fast?
No.
Okay. Sure, because we do this and then they get really mad.
I don't see any hands up.
We spent the time talking to our neighbors.
Okay, so we are going to close this application.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Okay, we are going to take 2 minutes and we're going to get Jean back. I think what we could do is vote on everything and then Jane can leave and then, can she stay for the vote?
Stay for the vote.
Okay, so then we'll vote in order of the applications, okay? All right, so we're going to take 3 minutes. Be ready to, okay.
Sorry, that was quick.
Yeah, that was a little before the.
My apologies.
Okay, we are going to reopen the zoning board of appeals meeting. We are now going to go through each item in order, and we are going to vote. So if I can find my agenda. Is it mine or yours?
It's yours, or mine.
Okay. So the first item on our agenda we listened to for today was 24 Horace Court. Proposing a 1-story addition. They're looking for variances on sideline setbacks and lot coverage. Can I have a motion to approve?
Brian moves.
Brian, and can I have a second?
Second.
Harold? Okay. Discussion.
So, number one, I think it's a reasonable ask. They've stated well their hardship with the undersized lot and the pre-existing non-conforming nature of the lot. And I think it's gonna look nice. As much as anything else, I think it fits well with the neighborhood and it showed support, so.
Anyone else have any? So we can't talk to Elise. No one talked to her. Joe, you have anything to say on this application?
No.
Okay.
It's a minor request 4%.
Okay, we are now going to vote on the variance for 24 Horace Court. Joe, I'm going to start with you every time, okay? Joe?
Maybe. Aye.
Yes, okay. Harold?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm a yes also, that is approved. Next, we're going to go to 165 Reef Road. They are looking to construct a one-story and second floor addition. Can I have a motion to approve?
Brian moves.
Brian, and a second?
Jane seconds.
Jane seconds. Did I do it in the wrong order?
They're doing a detached garage, no?
This is the second.
For permission to construct a detached garage.
Yeah, I think you reread
Oh,
this.
sorry. Okay.
That's all right.
All right, so, discussion.
I think it's a reasonable use of the space. I don't think they are, number one, I don't think it's going to be incredibly visible, but number two, I think the way that they're attacking it is the only way that the property really would allow them to.
It's a pre-existing non-conforming lot, and it's a corner lot,
Right.
right?
It's a bunch of boxes. And I think they had topography on this one too, didn't they?
I think that's
Or is
it.
that the next one? That's the next one.
Okay, any other discussion on agenda number 2? If not, we're going to go to a vote. Joe?
Aye.
Harold?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes, this 165 Reef Road is approved. Okay, number 3 on our agenda is 36 Ferncliff Road. They want to construct an accessory dwelling unit. Can I have a motion to approve?
Brian moves.
And a second?
Jane seconds.
Jane seconds. Okay, discussion?
We're happy to have accessory dwelling units.
It's a crazy lot,
Yeah.
It is.
crazy, big uphill, topography everywhere,
Right.
corner lots.
Peninsular, as he put
Yeah, it is really.
is.
I wouldn't want to have to go up there in the winter.
No,
Anyone else have anything to add to
but it's a beautiful property.
beautiful 36 Ferncliff? Is there any other discussion? Anything from anybody? Okay, we're going to go to a vote. Joe?
Aye.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes. I couldn't tell if Joe actually voted.
He's
Yes.
saying Jane words. I'm also a yes. I think he's saying aye.
Oh, okay.
Which
I
is
got it.
yes.
Yes.
It's probably Robert ruled the opposite. Okay, we are going on to number 4, which is 150 Wakeman Road. They want to construct a rear addition and a deck. Motion to approve.
Brian moves.
Brian, and a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Harold.
There you go, Harold.
Okay, conversation, discussion.
This is the one that was on the back of the house. I think it's going to be really pretty.
The lot
and
coverage
they're-
by 0.3.
Yeah, it's de minimis at best.
No, actually, what's it doing?
23.9 to 20.
Yeah,
0.4%.
Yeah.
it's a popular number today for coverage increases.
They have a, what is their hardship? Do we remember?
This was the shape of the lot, and it's somewhat undersized.
It's an undersized lot. I think it's in a
undersized.
93-75 zone, and they're in a 73. Okay.
And the lot comes to that kind of choke
Yeah.
point,
Okay.
so.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we're going to vote. Joe?
Aye.
Yes.
Harold is a yes.
I am a yes.
Brian's a yes. Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes, unanimously approved application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're dropping like flies today. Okay, next is number 5, 259 Stilson Road, map 76. This is the dentist office who's looking to add an x-ray machine. A little more complicated than an x-ray machine, but motion to approve.
Motion.
Brian is first,
Jane
Jane
seconds.
is second, discussion.
So the fact that it's a dentist office, we can put that aside because it's primarily a single-family house.
Yep.
And we need to come up with, understand what the hardship is. So that they're not there's no problem with setbacks or coverage. It's primarily, the hardship is this very odd-shaped lot.
I think it was expertly stated by the applicant.
I think that's,
The shape of the lot is their physical hardship. I think,
tied to the property.
but I also think that I know something has to do with the ability to maximize the value of the property, and this has been a dentist or something like that for 73 years.
We can't look at things in terms of
I
economics.
thought that was something that was, and that this doesn't have to be part of it because we're going to approve this anyway, but I thought there was something having to do with the ability to utilize the property or maintain or not
There's something to do
devalue the
with
property.
If we don't say yes, if they have zero value left, there's something about that being hardship, but this,
Right, and he did state that.
but this would not do that. But I think we should stick with this lot being very odd shaped to allow
Oh, yeah,
us,
100%.
right? Okay,
100%.
so unless there's any more thought, we should go to a vote. Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes, so the application has been approved based on lot shape. Okay, we're down to our last one. Jane is going to stay. No discussion from Jane. Elise now will be our standing member. So we're going to discuss 161 Sherman Street, which is changing the requirements of the zone and looking to change some streetline setbacks. Motion to approve.
Brian moves.
Brian, and I need a second.
Yes.
That's Harold, and let us discuss.
So the hardship was well established in the existence of the easement on the property. Also, it's a corner lot. It checks a couple of boxes in terms of a hardship tied to the property. I think it is going to be a welcome structure relative to what could be there, even though I'm loath to remind people that I don't like the threat of what could be. The project itself looks like it is well valued by the neighborhood. It reduces a nonconformity in parking and did everything it could to bring some landscape to that area. So I think it checks all the boxes for what we are looking to do in the town of Fairfield in terms of residents and the type of project that we're looking to foster here in town.
Okay, Elise, do you have anything you'd like to say about this?
No, I agree. I mean, I agree with Brian that the easement is the hardship with respect to the setbacks. I think the reducing the nonconformity with respect to parking is important. I think the project is well thought out and there's been no opposition to it. So that's what I think.
Harold? Anything? So the only thing that concerns me is this is zoned based on the zoning regulations for the town of Fairfield. And the town of Fairfield says this street is in a CDD zone, which means it cannot be 100% residential. You know, I'm not saying I don't like this project. Of course, it's beautiful, but I struggle a little bit with what's the hard, like, how are they, why is it hard for them? It's more, I feel, and I'm open to understanding it from a different perspective, but it's what they want. I mean, they could, they're running into all of these needs because they're rebuilding it into these townhouses. If they left it alone, they wouldn't even have to come here. So Elise, before you.
Well, I'm not sure that this is applicable, but I haven't done this as often as you all, but, and I don't know if Matt can speak to this, but I think 12.1 talks about a pre-existing zoning use.
Okay.
And I think that the attorney mentioned that before this was the zone it is, that these were homes and residences. So,
Are we stating that there are no residential houses on Sherman?
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know that. All I know is. what-
And it does back up to residential
Yeah, it's
streets.
all residential. I mean, it's residential up to that street. So there's where it stops, where you have the bottom floors offices and the tops.
It says, is 12.1 applicable where it says, and except that if the zoning district existing prior to the amendment of the zoning map establishing these design districts, then that they may also be used for any permitted, what was permitted in such prior zoning district. Is this the wrong section or is that applicable?
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the attorney didn't bring that up. Because that would have really helped.
They're talking to you, right?
So you, Elise, could you just say what you say again in a 2-sentence, just to keep it for the record?
It's my understanding, and I believe this helps the case, that if prior to this current zoning district, it was a residential zoning district or zoned for residences, then that is something that we can go back to under the current application.
Okay. Okay. All right. Is there any more? Okay, thank you, Elise. Is there any more discussion on this application? Okay, then we're going to vote. Joe?
Yes.
Elise?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm also a yes. So this application is approved. Okay, we're gonna close this meeting to that, and then the only,
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
the only thing on our agenda left is, does anyone have anything on other business they wish to discuss today?
Yeah, just with respect to next month, it seemed, I think it would be productive if we discussed in November whether we want to continue meeting next year on Thursday afternoons, or whether some other time better works for the board. I don't want to discuss it now, but I want to put it on the record that I'd like to discuss it next month so that we can do some prep for December when we have to set our 2026 meeting dates.
Well, Joe, there is, the interesting part of that is there's 2 of us, well, actually, I think there's 5 of us up for reelection. So we will still have to come to November meeting, but we're not actually going to be a part of it going forward. So I don't know how you.
You may, I mean, just
No,
because
what
you're
I'm
up for
saying is,
reelection.
but if you're not elected, do
Yeah.
you really want to have a discussion with lame ducks? Because that's what we would be. Plus, I'm not coming.
Well, I mean, the only, you could do it, you can, if in fact that's the case, we can decide it's more appropriate to move it to December. But I think if there's going to be discussion, if it isn't the case, if we're not dealing with a lame duck board, doing it a month ahead of time might make more sense than taking it up for the first time in December.
Okay, but I think what would be better is to have an agenda item, not to discuss it, but to talk about voting on moving it and have it right out, like, you don't have to say no, just a vote, right? Because I know what some people would like on the agenda is to move it from the day it is to just a later time in the day. So we could put that on the agenda. If you could formulate that, it would be in the paper in time, Matt, and then this board would vote on that. Is that correct?
Procedurally, I'd have to,
You can check with
there are other
them.
variables that come into play, and most importantly, times for meeting rooms.
Right.
And, and then obviously, history. This board has never met other than during the afternoon for the last 50 years.
Right. But I can reach out to the town attorney and ask him that.
I'll send Phil a message as
Send him a
well.
Oh.
message.
When does the town calendar?
That's why it is in our
They
December.
put I have to send over my request for dates and times in December.
Does the charter say what time we meet?
Yes, the charters, no, the charter doesn't say when we meet, but the charters and the Freedom of Information Law say that we set our meeting date for the next year in December. So we make that decision for 2026 at our December 2025 meeting.
And can you also find out if we can vote on it, how would that vote need to be? Majority or?
I think just
Majority.
Majority. So only 5 vote, not the alternates, is that correct?
correct.
Right.
You'd have to have
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Okay.
Yeah. 5 people vote. If there is an alternate sitting, I think an alternate would be eligible, but we could verify that. But only 5 people vote, and only 3 need to vote in favor to do it.
Okay, so Matt's gonna follow up with the town attorney and we'll get back to everyone with what he says, okay?
Okay.
We'll do it tomorrow, so be way in time to put it on the agenda if we need to. Okay, is there anything else we'd like to talk?
Matt, you just said it before, but just for the record, we are meeting, this current board meets in November,
November 6th.
even though it's after Election Day.
Correct.
And then the new board is sworn in.
Anyone who wins the election gets sworn in either the 16th or the 17th of November.
The 16th is a Sunday?
Okay, it's the 17th.
Okay.
I couldn't remember what day was Monday.
Okay, so
And
it's
then the
Monday the 17th.
following-
So I think it's the 3rd Monday of the month.
Okay. Got it.
And then the first meeting, or the meeting in December will house anybody who was elected, any elected official at that point.
All right. Okay, so I am now officially closing this meeting.
Good.
All right, thanks, Elise. Thank you very much for filling in. It was nice to see you. Bye, Joe.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye, everyone. Okay.